and welcome to the ROCKATX online worship experience. You're getting ready to experience God on another level. Whatever you're seeking from God for your life is available for you as you praise, hear the word, and transform your situation. While you're worshiping with us, feel free to interact with our online ministers in the chat and share this broadcast with your friends and family so they can join you online. Also, make sure you subscribe and follow the ROCKATX on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to stay connected to all the Rock is doing. Now, shake off the worries of the week and get ready to give God some praise. Service will begin soon.
Noah, can you imagine God said, build an ark? And Noah's like, I don't even know what this thing is or what it's for. But God gave me this plan, and this plan doesn't make sense to me, but you gave me the layout before you gave me how it's going to happen. Am I making sense? Now, and so he gives them the plan. Now, I love this because when we look at the story of Noah, God is really good at building up the idea of types and shadows in the Old Testament. Types and shadows. What do you mean, types and shadows? That means that when I look at the Old Testament stories, I see hints, shadows, or models for what God is going to do in the New Testament. So when I say types and shadows, when I look at Noah, I see a type of Christ that he preaches and he brings about some type of salvation and redemption, right? So when I look at Noah and I'm reading Noah, I see Noah, his activities, I see a type of Christ, a man that's called and a man that does something that's for my redemption, right? Then the waters represent some type of divine judgment, because in verse 17, God says, and behold, I'm bringing flood waters to the earth. Now notice, he gives them the plan before he tells them what they're for. So God doesn't always tell you what everything's for first. He says, now build it like this, build it like this, build it like this. And Noah goes, okay, well, what's the ark? Because I'm building, because the flood waters are coming. Now you got to understand, Noah's probably thinking, what is a flood? Because the earth has never had a flood before. He says, listen, so now he says, I'm bringing flood waters on the earth to destroy from under heaven all flesh, which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. Now, if Noah was like me, he said, well, if we're going to die, why are you employing me? If that's what we're doing, I'm making sense. See, this means, I want you to understand something. Sometimes God will tell you certain things and he peels it out to you in layers. Sometimes he'll say, Dr. Moody, do this right now. And I'll be like, so, okay, that wasn't part of the plan. Yes, but do it right now. All right, but if I do it, I'll just do it right now and do it like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, Lord, I'll do it. I didn't know that fussing to get y'all on Facebook was the key to y'all getting the kingdom message for 2 years. I didn't know that getting our cameras up was the key to us growing during COVID. While other people were doing, were shutting down, they were doing cell phone group calls to have church. I didn't know, but I just followed the plan, right? Right. And so now they literally now are called to go, and God calls this man. He says, okay, I got a plan for you. Build this ark. And he says, and I'm going to bring, verse 18 says this, but I will establish, this is Genesis 6, my covenant with you. So there's one message, and there's one man, and there's one vision. And he says, I'm going to have a covenant with you. Then he tells them this. He says, and you shall go into the ark. Your sons, your sons, your wife, your sons' wives with you. Now, so God tells them this, that you're about to build something, because remember I told you Noah was a type of Christ, right? The waters were a type of divine judgment, and the ark was a type of salvation / vision. So notice this. Everybody that went into the ark was saved. The only way to be saved from the divine judgment of God was to go in the ark. So now, when God gives your man of God a vision, that is your key to your own salvation. And here's the deal. And you can't, because notice, Noah had uncles, he had aunts, he had friends, he had neighbors. I'm gonna make it sense. He had acquaintances, but listen, and he was surrounded by a community. So being in the community wasn't enough. Being in proximity with him and watching what he was doing and noticing what he was doing wasn't enough. When you see a man come into your life with vision, I want you to understand something. This is the first step where you know God is trying to break a cycle. Why? Because everybody in the earth is doing the same thing. And literally, the only thing the only difference between you and them is you start hearing about vision. Now you have the choice that you got to decide, do I want to be a part? This is your choice of the vision. And then secondly, do I not only want to be a part of the vision, but the other question is, do I want to, I'm going to say this for some of y'all, go all the way in? Most of us say, well, you know, because I want to be part of the vision, but I don't know if I want to be in like that. And so if it were you, you would be looking for an inner tube to tie onto the boat because you want your own space. You'll be trying to build a raft and then weave a rope and tie it too so you can be. But listen, have a long rope so you can get the benefits of being associated with the ark, but not being all the way in. So most of us, this is where you know God he's got you at a point where he says, I'm getting ready to break the cycle in your life. Yeah. Because you're trying to figure out how far in do you go. Yeah. And you're looking around to see who else is going in. Because you don't want to be in there by yourself. And then you don't want to go in, listen, because you're like, God spoke to him about this ark. I ain't heard nothing. That's his vision. That's what him and God's doing. I don't really want to, I've never been called to do that. Can I share a little personal testimony with you? I remember so many times, and lately I just reflect and I laugh at God because how God was orchestrating my life. I can remember the conversations with Apostle E.W. Wilcox. And I can remember I was afraid of him because he had an incredible prophetic eye. And I wasn't living right. And I didn't want to be around him and he look at me and pick up on, you know what I mean? So I avoided him at all. But then there were times when it's like I got stuck and I'm in the room with him. And then you know how you know how we do, how you get quiet and still, and it's like because you don't want them to see nothing, you just kind of sit there, you try to disappear. Yes, sir. And so he said to me, he says, "Oh, son, you gonna preach?" I said, "Oh no." Because back in those days, I was in the raft building ministry, where I wanted to build a raft and with a long rope that attached itself to God, right? But I didn't want to be all in like that. Oh, y'all hear me? Y'all feeling me? Huh? Y'all feeling me? I thought I was talking about me, but now I'm talking about y'all. And so literally, I would create these distances. But then it was like out of the distance, Dr. Carson would call, hey, move, come with me right here. Come go with me. And then we'd end up driving around. He said, I got to go to Houston. And I'd be like, oh, Houston? He says, well, listen, just ride up there with me. And I'd be like, I'm going to Houston. Where am I going? I thought we were going to Sam's. And then I'd sit up, then he'd be like, man, I'm with my boy Tony. We're going to go, Moody. Sit here, we got to go take care of something. So, and then I'd be sitting there with the prophet in the room. Trying to disappear. Don't see me. You gonna preach one day, son? No, sir. And I said to him, and I was adamant, I have not heard the Lord speak to me about preaching. I'm not interested in full-time ministry. I would never want to do church as a lifestyle, as a profession. I'm just here to help Dr. Carson. And whatever the Lord's doing with him, that's what he's doing. If I got to pick up a chair every now and then, cool. Play some drums, straight. Help sing on praise team, cool. But what I will not do, and what I am not called to do, is preach. And he said, you don't buy a thoroughbred and train him to run and never put him on the track. And I said, That's a word for somebody. Understand this, the covenant was with Noah. And the issue was who would follow him on the ark. And for 120 years, he built the ark and preached about the ark. But his ministry, when you look at it numerically, would be considered a failure. Who would say that I've been pastoring for 120 years and I have 8 members? And they are all my family. He preaches, he builds this thing called vision for these years. And the only people that are saved, and the only people that where the cycle is broken, are the people who go all the way in. And most of us have spent time saying, I ain't heard the Lord tell me nothing. But I'm just here with Dr. Moody, helping him out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? The Lord spoke to him. So what I'm just trying to help him out. Am I making sense? But I declare to you, the Lord does, listen, we don't buy a thoroughbred and train him to run and never put him on the track. Am I talking to somebody? Somebody say, I'm ready to leave right now. Listen, why? Because if you want to break a cycle, the first thing you got to do is you've got to separate yourself. You got to go into a totally different environment. That means God is calling you to get all the way in the vision. The reason why you don't break the cycle is because you want a little bit of God and a little bit of you left. And you never, ever get to yourself where you say, I'm just going to go all the way in, whatever you need, wherever you tell me to go, whatever you tell me to do, and I agree to be totally uncomfortable for a period of time. I agree to be totally out of the box for a period of time. I agree that you're finna break all of my habits and you're gonna interrupt my entire life. I agree that you're about to interrupt where I go, who I hang with, because I cannot be in the ark and outside the ark at the same time. God is an all-consuming fire. And your problem is you just want to heat up a little part of you. And God is saying, I want it all. He's saying to Dr. Moody, come into the deep. Because in my dream, I remember this dream is it's so powerful to me because I was standing on the beach and I was looking out and I saw the waves coming in and the waves were just rolling over my feet. And I was content while looking at the waves come in and the waters go over my feet. And I was like, at least, man, I'm further than them. At least my feet are wet. Some people ain't even on the beach. Am I talking to somebody? But it's a sign. I want you to say, prophetically, it's a sign. If you're sitting there and your feet are wet, then you are consulting, you are conversing, you are having a discussion with God about the wetness of your feet. And you're sitting there with God saying, I'm doing better than I used to do. I'm doing better. Look at where I am. Look at what I'm doing. And God is looking at you saying, listen, I'm telling you that in order to break this cycle, you've got to go all the way. The Bible says this. Remember, he told Noah to build the door, right? Now, this tripped me out. Because when the waters came down and the flood started, people were still doing their thing. It says they were eating and drinking and getting married and doing so they're still doing them. So now when God is breaking your cycle, you've got to do him while they're doing them. You've got to watch everybody continue to do them while you're doing him. Because the Bible says this, when the waters came down, and I love this part, it was not Noah that shut the door. God came, shut the door. That means this, that there is a time stamp for you to get in the vision. There is a time stamp. I'm making sense. And there's going to come a time when Dr. Moody would say, no, we good. But God's going to say, shut the door. Because breaking the cycle means God says, I got to pull you in and listen, and cut you off. I got to cut you off from your supplier. I got to cut you off from your issues. I got to cut you off from all that stuff. Because as long as you got time to do you, your problem is you're going to do you. So I've got to pull you in and shut the door and get you all the way in. Am I making sense? And you got to be all the way in a boat filled with caca. And a vision filled with mess. You got to be all the way in and a vision filled like, what in the world is this stuff? The animals defecating and urinating. And I'm living in this. I want to be a part of the vision, Dr. Moody, as soon as you clean it up. I want, if you clean that stuff up, because I don't want to be a part of none of that. And make it sense. Just because there is caca in the vision doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be all the way in. Because God is trying to break your cycle. Listen, God is more concerned with breaking your cycle than he is your love for hygiene. Because you want to be a clean addict. You're going to be a sharp addict. What? So you're concerned about the wrong stuff. Do you want to break the cycle or do you want to be pretty?
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you like this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to The Rock ATX on YouTube and follow The Rock ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.